All this GR Cup action is proudly brought to you by Toyota Gazoo Racing. Welcome to Pretoria, the capital city of South Africa and the home of the Union Buildings. Also known as the Jacaranda City, it is fantastic to see that we get an opportunity to visit it on numerous occasions on the Extreme Festival. And just west of the city is the home of the Extreme Festival of Motorsport, and that is the Zwartkops International Raceway. And this time we head out for the Toyota Gazoo Racing GR Cup Round 4. It's fantastic to see such a massive crowd out at Zwartkops, entertained as always with the Extreme Festival and particularly with the home of GR Cup, based at the circuit. We caught up with Leroy Polter with a couple of changes for this weekend.
We've come together with Toyota and we've made some changes, made them a little bit easier to drive, added a little bit more power to them. It's a normally aspirated engine, so you can see the kids are quite quick. They're only about a 0.7 behind on a lap, so they're easy to drive, and I think that's the biggest thing for the little kids. The 86 is a good platform to learn all the circuits throughout the year, and then from then on trying to promote them into the Starlet, and then hopefully then in the future is bring them into international and expose them to that. So that's our main goal, is to keep on bringing the kids through the karting and bring them through the ranks.
Another great initiative as well from Toyota is a record entry with the introduction of the old Yaris class back into Gazoo Racing for 2025. It's been a magnificent season so far, and the cars are about to roll out now for the all-important qualifying. And let's see how good those changes are to the 86s to keep them in contention with the Toyota Corollas and the Yarises. Out on track in cool conditions makes it very difficult to get the heat into the Dunlop rubber, but a couple of guys seem to have got to grips with it pretty well. Jason Gutsia looking to try and get to the front end of the 86 Brigade, and looks like he might have got to the top, and the top overall for qualifying as well. Nabil Abdul has been there the entire season, a difficult man to beat, but have a look at that. Mario de Souza also at the top standing as well, so there is going to be a huge battle amongst the Corollas, the 86s and the Yarises. In the combined official qualifying, it's Nabil Abdul at the top in the Yaris, 11.5 there for him. Mario de Souza quickest of the dealer teams in the Corolla, and Jason Gutsia down in 8th place overall, the top end of the 86 Brigade. But there's going to be expecting a big battle. As you can see, the times are split by less than 2 seconds from top to bottom, which is really good. Look out for Vatsi and Justin Rogers at the back end fighting hard.
So qualifying was a bit tricky this morning, nice and cold as it is in winter in Joburg, but didn't go quite to plan. I tried to get more out of the car than I think was there and ended up overdriving a little bit, but it does put us in a good place on the grid, not bad, and it's definitely going to be an exciting race.
So 11.9, pole position for the dealers. I'm really happy. Second overall. Nabil again pulled one out of the bag. So it's going to be a phenomenal race because temperatures are going to go up. I think the mid-pack is going to be really close. They're going to really put on a show for the crowds for sure. I'm hoping that we pull a little bit of a gap where we don't get too tangled with the rest of the guys. But first turn 1 and 2 is going to be in the yellows to try and avoid any shenanigans, and then we race from there. But I'm so chuffed. Quickest lap for the weekend. The car is really good. So looking forward to race 1.
I did not expect this result, guys. I honestly thought I'm going to be sitting at least 4th overall, 5th overall. I was hoping I could get a 112 at least, because practice 1, 2 and 3, the best we could do was one in the 113s. And I don't know where this time came from, but the car felt amazing out there, and I'm just over the moon. I've actually taken it to the moon. With that time, 111.5, that's just incredible. And you know what, little Apollo? We're going to do it.
Looking forward to that, and join us after the break for Race 1 action here from Zwartkops. Welcome back to Zwartkops International World of Motoring. It's round 4 about to kick off of the Toyota Gazoo Racing GR Cup. We've just seen in the qualifying how close affairs have been, and expecting to see a big battle now amongst the categories as they're now put into their respective classes. Remember, the 86s will start first with a little bit of a gap down into the media and dealer team challenge. They're in Toyota Corollas and Toyota Yarises, and we're about to go racing. We go on board now with the pole man, Jason Gazoo in the 86 Brigade. He'll be leading things out with a rolling start and be looking to try and push to the front end as quickly as possible. Watch out for Ken Swartz and Kanya Ngwenya, who'll be pushing him hard. Remember, they're under double yellows for the first two corners, so it's line astern until they get out of turn 2, Castile corner. When they come out of that, it's green flags and we go racing. Good start they're expecting from Brandon van der Walt as well. He'd like to be right up there with Justin Rogers, not losing too much ground. We go to the second start now. Side by side there, Nabil Abdul and the Motors Toyota of Mario de Souza, looking to try and come through, but also double yellows for them until we get into turn 3. So it's basically line astern for everybody. But how big is that pack now? 25 motor cars about to go to battle. And great initiative to bring the old Yaris's back in with the new ones. Remember, the new ones are slightly different to the older ones, with a bit more power and a lot closer to what the Corollas are able to do in terms of that 220 odd kilowatt powered derivative they've got to play with. And it is fantastic to see. But the old ones were very competitive as well. And with a couple of new drivers thrown into the mix, I think we're in for a big battle. It's Nabil Abdul who's got the whole shot down in towards turn 4. That's where you look to get the whole shot, because the green flag comes out just as you see in the background there from the rest of the pack coming through turn 3. And as they come through there, great start as well there from Rudolf Bonsai. A lot better from him. Fighting with Andries de Villiers. Just behind him there, Willem van der Putte. And a nice start there for the rookie as he comes into this for the very first time. The usual contenders at the front end, though, are fighting hard already. And you see Devon Scott trying to make up a little bit of ground. As you heard from him, didn't have quite the qualifying he wanted. A little bit of overdriving in the cool conditions. Didn't quite get the time he was looking for. But he's certainly looking for time now and dives on the inside looking for second place to squeeze out and maybe just get ahead there of Mario de Souza. De Souza might lose out there. No, he doesn't. He hangs on only just as they come flying in the background. And there's a couple of cars looking to try and get through as well, including Van der Venter and Paul de Vos. The two Academy boys are giving it horns at the front end, which is great to see, and looking for early opportunities to get through there on that Motors Toyota. There's the CFMO machine and the car machine of Kyle Koch in there too. Look out for the battle. It's raging as he comes up alongside and trying to find a way through on Lawrence Mini. This is on board and heading up towards turn 4. Are we going to see an opportunity here? Do they come off slightly? Yes, they do. Little roll off there. Little touch on the brakes. You can see they're on the brakes because the hazard lights come on. Remember, these cars run the standard option road going option that these cars would have on a normal road going car as opposed to the race version that they're in. The race version has a slightly upgraded braking system. The roll cage thrown into it and a little bit more power to play with. It's fantastic to see how they work so well. Back to the 86 Brigade as they come across the line. Jason Gazoo opening up a big margin now over Ken Swartz. Swartz doesn't have an answer at the moment on Kanya Ngwenya. He's trying to close that gap down. Slowly but surely making it. In fact, he's got through. He's found a way past there. So Swartz now up in the second place. Ngwenya down to third. Justin Rogers not too far back behind them, trying to close that gap down. Brandon van der Walt has stayed with Rogers, exactly what he wanted to do, as we head back into this mid-pack of the 86s and Yaris's and the Corollas that are thrown into the mix there as well. This is fantastic to see such a big field, and they're all fighting hard for honours at the front end of each of their respective classes. 86s is the development class. That's where we see the young karters like Jason Gazoo, who's just won the Africa Open Karting Championship, moving through the ranks and coming into saloon cars for the first time, stepping away from his original direction, and that was single-seaters. Great opportunity that Toyota's given. He jumps with the opportunity with arms open wide, and now looking to try and make his way through in the Gazoo Racing stable. The media and dealer teams are all in there. The dealer team's spending a lot of time trying to promote the GR brand in the Toyotas. And of course, they've got a whole bunch. Oh, as we see a little bit of off track there. Was that the Auto Trader car? I think it might have been. A little bit of off there for Lawrence Mini, getting it a bit sideways and putting wheels onto the dirty stuff. Don't want to be doing that too often, that is for sure. That'll be costly. He lost a little bit of ground, as you can see there. And he's now going to try not to make it up. But that's allowed Kyle Koch to jump right onto the back end of him and looking for a way through. The 19 car there, Marius Claas, and the roller Toyota Corolla getting in there as well. Fantastic to see all the brands from Corolla's dealer teams in the mix now. And there's a lot more of them with the additional Yaris's that are thrown into the mix here for this weekend. As they come through there, you can see there's big battles raging right the way through, but also watching the progress slowly but surely of Putti and Panya and Jono Wilson, who've also stepped up. Jono Wilson, of course, one of our top karters, unfortunately dropped back into the pack now amongst these very fast Toyota Corollas and Yaris's. And the 86 man will have to do a little bit of work to try and make his way through if he can. Further back in the pack as they come through there, we also pick up on the IOL machine. Great to see that maneuver. And the IOL car being piloted by Van der Putte. So slowly but surely, these guys and girls getting to grips with the cars. Vatsi is a lot higher up than what we expected to see from her as well. Great to see massive improvements coming out of that young lady driver in the 86 Brigade. Fantastic battle, as I said earlier on. fighting there with Lawrence Mini just ahead there. That is Marius Klaassen. Right behind them is Theo Brits. Brits putting the pressure on now, looking to try and squeeze through there, and not too far behind them is Van der Horn. So there's a lot of opportunities as they come past the HQ on the right-hand side of our shot now. They'll all be watching with bated breath to see who's going to have, who has the advantage. Oh, it's NMI versus Roller there. That's fantastic to see. The two dealers going at it side by side, wing mirror to wing mirror, coming out of turn 6 and now down towards the turn 8. A difficult corner to get right. And it looks like they've all got it sorted. Roller leads out at the moment, and that is a fantastic effort there from Klaassen. Just keeping Theo Brits at bay. Van der Horn not too far behind. As I said, closing that gap down as the two of them fight it out and slow each other down ever so slightly. They would like to catch the back end of Kyle Koch if they can, but he's already into turn 2. So the Car Magazine man is just disappearing at the front end, doing a super job there and running at the moment in about 4th or 5th place overall in the media challenge. As they come out of turn 2, they've spread out slightly there in that little pack. Let's get back into the front end of this race. As you can see now, they've caught the back end of the 86 Brigade. So that's brought Justin Rogers and Brandon van der Walt into the mix amongst the leading Yaris's and Corollas. Side-by-side action between Ken Swartz and Ngwenya. Looking for opportunities, and Jason Gutsia under massive pressure now in the closing stages as well, as Swartz has closed that gap down. Ken Swartz slowly but surely getting onto the back end. Brandon van der Walt looking for a way through too, as he now looks to try and dive on the inside there of Justin Rogers. Rogers and Ngwenya fighting hard. There's Nabil Abdul. First time we've seen him since we saw him take the whole shot. And this is why we're seeing him, because his closest rival is now going to be Devin Scott. Devin Scott's got ahead of Mario D'Souza. So leads out the Corolla side of things, and Devin Scott doing a super job. So here we go, up towards turn number 4 we go. Nabil Abdul leading out in terms of the media challenge, and it looks like there's going to be a fight on here big time between the dealers and the Toyota Academy men. So Mario D'Souza would love to have the honours, but it looks like Devin has just squeezed through there, giving him a little bit of a run for his money. Kutsia heading to the line now for the flag. The 7 car untouched literally from flag to flag, and he crosses the line there ahead of Ken Swartz. Oh, some late race action in the background. Looks like a couple of the 86s coming together. Yes, that was Vatsi. Vatsi coming together with one of those cars involved in the Yaris and Corolla Brigade coming together. And you can hear online and on board just how happy Nabil is with that win. He's got quite the advantage over Devin Scott. Mario D'Souza will come through for second in the media challenge. That's a good run to the line there. Good recovery from Vatsi as well as she takes the checkered flag. Finishing up in 15th place just behind Kyle Koch. Here's the official results though. Jason Gutsia taking the win in the 86s ahead of Ken Swartz and Kanya Ngwenya, with Nabil Abdul taking the media challenge and Devin Scott taking the Corollas and the dealer team challenge. And good to see Kevin Crow and Johan Bunzai finishing up their first outings in the GR Cup.
Apollo went to the moon and almost back. We'll see in race 2. But yeah, unbelievable. I am really humble with today's results.
Yeah, so chasing down Mario was a challenge, and I had to wait for an opportunity. And when we caught the back of the 86s, there was a little bit of a gap. I'll say a little gap, but we managed to put the Yaris in there and squeeze through. It was a real challenge chasing Mario, and it definitely tested my patience and my skills and everything else. And he's a formidable opponent, and it was a nice battle out there. And I look forward to race 2 because I think it's going to be more of the same. Looking for that little gap because there'll be a Yaris in there.
Let's catch up now with the 86 and overall winner, Jason Gutsia.
Yeah, look, I mean, it was quite nice. I think my qualifying lap this morning I was very chuffed about. But yeah, I mean, the race otherwise, obviously now with the heat, it makes things a bit more sketchier, especially since the tyres get hotter and you have to manage a lot more things than what you do in qualifying. But yeah, otherwise, all in all, I think it was relatively quite plain sailing. Obviously, I had Kent behind me, that was also quite fast. So we were just managing and pushing each other to go forward. So as he goes faster, I just go faster. But yeah, otherwise, all in all, good. I think there must have been a very good dice behind me if I look at all the cars. So yeah, all good.
Looking forward to race 2 action now after the break. Join us for GR Cup from Zwartkops. Welcome back to Zwartkops, the international world of motoring, and round 4 of the Toyota Gazoo Racing GR Cup. It's race 2 that's about to head out onto the circuit one more time. A couple little changes to a few cars. And if you can't fix it with duct tape, then you shouldn't be involved in motorsport by this stage, because duct tape and zip ties are the standard option. Let's torque those wheels and get them on track for race 2. Race 1 winner Jason Kutsia will lead them down towards turn 3. That's where the green flag officially comes out. It's double yellows as we go back on board with him here. Nice angle on this camera from the back end of the wing of this 86. Kutsia has not been bedded all weekend long. He's looking for the perfect weekend. He wants to keep Ken Swartz behind him. As the lights go out, we go racing, and he'll do just that as they head towards turn 3. We've got to stay line astern until that green flag comes out on the exit of turn 3. That's when we go officially racing for GL Cup and the 86 Brigade. So they'll all just stay in their grid positions until they get that green flag, and then it will be hammers down. Let's see if we get a slightly better and improved drive coming out of Jono Wilson, and maybe from Vatsi as well, to stay out of trouble from this pack as they head down to the same place. They'll all stay the same for now, but let's see what's going to happen as they come out of that one. Nabil Abdul will try and get the drop on them as he did in race number 1. He was a difficult man to beat, as you heard from both Mario and you heard earlier on as well from Devin Scott, saying that little gap needs to be tried to fill, and it's not an easy thing to do. Let's go on board here with Mario as we head into racing proper out of turn 3. He drops the hammer now, tries to get away from Devin Scott. He had a bit of a tough time of it with the slightly older Yaris, and having to try and fend him off all race long, he was able to do that. The same thing applies here at the front end with the 86s. You can see just how hard Jason Kutsia had to work to keep Ken Swartz up. The two Gazoo Racing Academy boys that have come through that junior karting academy are working well now and finally getting to grips with these rear-wheel drive 86s. Mid-pack, watching for a big move there as well, coming from Devin Scott, also from Paul de Vos, expecting them to be slightly higher up there, maybe fighting in amongst Vanna Fenter and also Josh Vetter. Back on board with D'Souza as we turn into... Oh, there you go, already sneaking through. I didn't expect to see that so early on, but Devin has already dropped the hammer and put that gauntlet down, saying, I'm here, and I'm here. That gap has been filled, exactly what he wanted. Now, can D'Souza do anything about that little Yaris out in front? Or is he going to try and use him to bridge the gap between himself and Nabil? There's Nabil going into turn 2 there, and you can see the gap he's already pulled. Great smooth driving coming out of Mario D'Souza. And he tries to get the advantage, but the advantage was definitely in the Yaris there. The slightly lighter car coming out of turn 2, getting a little bit of a margin, and look at how he's pulling away, heading up onto that back straightaway. Back to the 86's top 3 stay the same. Kaya Ngwenya has closed down slightly there on the back end of Ken Swartz. It's not a huge margin, but he's definitely a lot closer than what he was in race number 1. And they've done some changes to that car to give Ngwenya a bit more pace. Van der Walt not too far behind that, and then Rogers on his tail. We'll keep an eye on whether or not the 86s and the Corollas and Yarises get up close and personal as they did at the end of race number 1. So this is the little fight. Nice, lovely stuff here with our drone flying right above these cars as they head towards 3. And that's the fight we're seeing there between Brandon van der Walt and Justin Rogers. We'll cut across now straight back into the clutches of what's happening in that mid-pack of the 86s and Corollas. And the Yarises now coming into the mix there as well. And the difference there between them basically... Oh, a spinner! That's not good. I think that might be the 19 car of class, and yes it is. The roller Corolla, unfortunately, out of that one and spinning out at turn 2. It's going to drop him right back. He's going to have to do some work from there. That's definitely not what he wanted. Car Magazine's Carl Koch in the house one more time. Also having a bit of evasive driving there to avoid that car that spun out ahead of him. But let's see whether or not he gets to finish up a bit higher up than what he did in the media challenge. It's media and dealers we're watching here. It's Corollas and Yarises fighting hard. 222 is Vanna Fenter. He's a lot closer to Mario D'Souza this time. He's got Paul D'Souza right on his tail as well, and Paul de Vos pushing hard. And you can see just how hard de Vos is having to work there to stay with D'Souza. D'Souza and de Vos in a big fight. But Fenter is the meat and the sandwich between the two of them. So we've got 2 Yarises and 2 Corollas fighting for second place overall in that championship, but fighting for honours in their respective categories as they come through turn 1. Looking a bit further back there as well, not quite the same kind of pace we saw earlier on from Carl Koch. He seems to have dropped out. That was because he had to take evasive action for the spinner down at turn 2. So a couple of cars caught out with that one, including Charles Bosch and Theo Brits as well. They've dropped a bit further back than what they'd like to be. Speaking of Brits, there he comes in the NMR Toyota, coming out of Castrol Corner, trying to make up that ground now and see if he can just get onto the back end. This is Nabil Abdul closing onto the back end of Jono Wilson by the looks of things. So Wilson could be in a bit of trouble here. The young Carter about to experience what it's like to be overtaken yet again by this man who just seems to be a dominant factor, particularly in this brand new Yaris of his. He stepped out of Cupcake, somebody else has taken that car in the mid-pack, and he's now into what is known as Apollo, his new little space mission car here, and he dives up the inside and gets through. Vatsi giving him some room there to play. And see now sets his sights on Justin Rogers and Jono Wilson up the front in. Vatsiana having a fantastic run. As I said, that young lady driver is just getting better and better every time she gets behind the wheel of that 86, and is definitely becoming a big threat, and certainly one of South Africa's finest young lady drivers in saloon cars. Lots of experience being gained here in amongst these very, very competitive category cars, and particularly one they're in amongst the dealer team and the front end of the media challenge. Those guys are definitely teaching the youngsters what to do when they get past. And they'll actually get an opportunity to find out where they might be able to break later in the 86s, look for the turn-in points that the rest of these drivers are putting in, and it definitely gives them the advantage. Advantage is to Jason Coetzee at the 86's front end at this point in time. Ken Swartz has lost that ground. Look at the gap that's opened up now between Coetzee and Swartz. Same thing there between Swartz and Ngwenya. It's basically equidistant apart there between those first three. I don't think there's going to be any answer here from Ken Swartz onto Coetzee. He's going to get the perfect weekend. He's got it all right in qualifying. He got at race 1 victory already and the fastest lap. And now we go back up into the sky with our aerial material coming out of turn 2. Great to see these guys flying as they come through Castrol. We go from aerial to onboard. Nabil Abdul just squeezing Rogers out there. There was not a lot of room to play, but Nabil Abdul found it. And in fact, that was actually not the 69, it was the 96. It was Jono Wilson he went past. So apologies on that one, but look how close they are. Brilliant stuff. Devin Scott now closing onto the back end as well, looking for a way through, but I think he's lost the advantage. All he wants to do is keep this man, Mario D'Souza, at bay. He's not going to give D'Souza any room to play. And that's the gap now between D'Souza and the second of the Yarises on track. And piloted by Devin Scott, tough man to beat. He does a lot of laps around here. They run the Toyota Gazoo Racing Academy here, driving and teaching people how to drive these GR machines. And they do a fantastic job. But here we go to the flag. Another fantastic job being done here by this man, who takes flag to flag again. And that is the perfect weekend for Jason Coetzee, beating Ken Swartz and Kai Ngwenya to the line. Mid-pack still coming to the line and still to be sorted out. Nabil Abdul hasn't had it all his own way, but he certainly got away from everybody else and stayed ahead of Devin Scott and Mario D'Souza. So Nabil Abdul takes the victory, and it'll be Devin Scott once again to win out the dealer challenge. So top class and the first positions in each of the categories remain the same as they were in race number 1. Coming to the line now, the 33 car, Werner Horn. He's got Charles Bosch and Theo Brits right there with him. And look out for Rudolf Bunzai in there too. HQ seems to be happy with that, as Jason Coetzee takes the 86s, Nabil Abdul taking the Yarises, and Devin Scott taking the Corollas. Great battles through the field as well. Marius Klaassen, Werner Horn and Rudolf Bunzai, as we saw. Good recovery from Theo Brits. And once again, another finish there for Johan Bunzai. Carl Koch, unfortunately with some issues in that race. Overall winner in the Corollas, Devin Scott.
That was amazing. A little bit of patience and not showing my cards too early. I think I surprised Mario on the brakes there, and it definitely worked out. A little bit of thought between race 1 and race 2 definitely played out, and great weekend. What a way to finish 2 wins, and I can't thank Glenn enough and everyone else involved, Alan and Paulie and everyone. It's really been an incredible weekend. And Leroy and the team that puts these cars together, and it's incredible that a stock standard road car can take this sort of punishment. This car, I think, is its 4th season now. So just a testament to Toyota as well.
We better head to Houston to find out if Apollo actually got the mission all sorted.
Apollo landed once again. She was absolutely magnificent out there. In the searing heat, the temperature picked up so much this afternoon. We were a bit worried about the gearbox and the temperatures, but she held together and she put in a faultless performance. I'm so proud of her, proud of the results. Another double win, double overall win. This is like, am I in heaven? I don't know.
Ken Swartz pushed Jason Coetzee a bit harder in race 2, but he still managed the perfect weekend.
Yeah, look, I think also just proves how even these cars are. I mean, obviously, I've gone from, say, the orange car to my white one. I definitely do miss the yellow one a bit, but yeah, I mean, it's really good to see that all these cars are nice and even. No matter what car you jump in, it'll be the same. So yeah, I mean, relatively, I'm very happy with this weekend. I think it is a good bag of points that I'm taking. So yeah, on to the next one.
And for that next round, we head down to East London. The harbour city, also known as Buffalo City, magnificent town to come and play in, and it gives us an opportunity to go to the historic circuit, the East London Grand Prix circuit that has seen Formula One race here in the past. But we are going to look forward to all the action from the Round 5 Championship of Toyota Gazoo GR Cup. We'll see you here at East London Grand Prix circuit on the 19th of July. All this GR Cup action was proudly brought to you by Toyota Gazoo Racing.